It's not clickbait. I really do wish I hadn't bought this camera. But if you hear me out, it also kind of is clickbait because I really like this camera and I don't have any plans on selling it at the moment. So let me explain. There are like 5 or 6 things that I don't like about this camera that I wish would be a little bit different. But first and foremost, I want to be upfront and honest. One of the main reasons that I'm actually keeping this is because it's currently making me some money. The Fuji X100V gets a lot of clicks on YouTube, and therefore I get a little bit of ad revenue every time someone watches one of the ads on the video. It's not that much money, but I've made about 70 or 80 bucks back off of making videos with the X100V in it, and for that reason that's one of the reasons I'm going to keep it. The other reason is it's actually a really good camera and I'm going to keep using it and I enjoy using it. So take that however you would like, but here are the things that I really don't like about it that I wish would be different. Number one is a huge downside for me, and it's the fact that when you're not shooting at f2, there's a little delay when you fire the shutter for the aperture to close down to whatever you have it at. I'm often shooting at f8, so I could click the shutter really quick and it'll take like a quarter of a second maybe, like it'll just take a little bit longer to take the photo than I would like it to, unless I have it half pushed and I'm ready to go, and then it'll click as much as I want. But you don't always have that luxury when you're taking pictures, especially in street photography. It's just like oh my god, and then you need it to shoot right now. But it only does that at f2 because the aperture is already where it needs to be at that point. So at f8 it just has that little delay, so I find myself having to start to shoot just before and use like a burst mode to hopefully get the point where that like decisive moment point. And that really annoys me. I wish it would just fire quickly so I can quickly take a shot of something and move on. I don't have to like hold the camera there for a second or so longer than I would like to, or maybe it doesn't bother most folk, but this bothers me kind of a lot. The number 2 thing I don't like about this camera is not as big a deal. These are going to be sort of like going down in order of importance. But I don't really enjoy the focus by wire. If I had my way, this would be mechanical, maybe with like an autofocus, manual focus like clutch or something like that, so that you could still have the autofocus. But I use manual focus a lot with this. I would love it to have one of those distance scales that old cameras have, or that you get on like Leicas still to this day, so that I can just have that little tab and just be like, oh, I'm at 10 feet, I'm at 3 feet. And you get used to like where that tab would be on the focus scale, so you can just move it and you don't have to look at the camera. Whereas with this, if I focus on the floor from hip height, it's about 3 feet to the floor, and then I'll focus out in front and adjust it to 10 feet. But it's not as fast and I have to look at the screen, so it's just a little bit of attention that I have to take off of like the world and looking for things, and try and make sure that the camera is at the right focus distance. Maybe not a huge deal for a lot of people, but I feel like for street photographers that would be like a really important thing to have, and I'm a little bit sad that this camera doesn't have it. And had I had the $6,000 or whatever it is to buy a Leica, then maybe that's what I would have done with that money. Even though it seems like so much money, it would do exactly what I wanted to, and it shouldn't have that delay with the aperture thing either. I imagine it doesn't. I don't know if it does or not, so maybe one day I'll find out. There may or may not be a setting that I can change in this camera that will stop that from happening, and I cannot figure out what it is, or if it is actually something that is possible to do. But if you know that, please leave me a comment down below. I will be absolutely delighted if you can fix this problem for me. Alright, number 3, again, not a huge deal, but something that you're paying more money in this camera for is the touchscreen. Originally, I thought it was going to be pretty good. I didn't mind it at all. But over time, I have changed it with my nose or with my hands accidentally, and I've moved the focus point around, especially if I shoot vertical. Like I would do it like that, like right eye dominant instead of left eye. I'll move the focus point with my nose. It's just annoying because you've got to like double click the little joystick to get it back to center. So I ended up just switching that off. And also with the touch swipe functions, I've been occasionally accidentally swiping. So like I'll lift the camera up and it's on like the menu screen for the custom focus distance thing. So that's, I mean, it's not that big a deal, but it's a little bit annoying, and I haven't found that I've used it, and it's something that you're paying for when you get this camera. So, however, having said that, I have also moved the focus points with this when I'm just walking around and carrying the camera and like holding it down or whatever. I've been nudging it with this joystick. I think maybe what will solve that is a thumb grip. If I ever get a thumb grip, we will see if that helps. Alright, number 4 is actually something that other people have been asking about and I haven't had a problem with, but it is a problem, so I feel like it's still worth mentioning. The camera will overheat when you shoot video, and that's really it. Like, that shouldn't be a problem in a camera nowadays. That's kind of a failing by Fuji. I imagine that the reasoning was people aren't buying this camera to shoot video, and if they do, they can use video and they'll be shooting like little short holiday clips or something like that. It's just kind of a dumb thing. If you do shoot enough pictures, and I mean you have to shoot a lot, it will overheat as well. I've seen videos of, I forget who it was, but they left it on interval timer for several hundred photos and the camera eventually hit up, overheated and stopped working. Now, in my general daily use of the camera, that has not happened at all. I've not noticed it overheating or feeling like it's going to overheat. Even when I'm out shooting street photography and it's 90 degrees outside, I've never felt like the camera was particularly hot, other than it being 90 degrees and the sun is shining down on it, like just normal heat with your hand in the sun. It's not been burning my hand or anything like that, so I haven't had a problem there, but it really shouldn't be a problem with a camera these days, and there's no way Fuji didn't know about this during their research and development of the camera. It had to have been an issue, and I'm sure they tested interval timer and like lots of shooting over a short period of time, and maybe they just didn't think it was an issue. But people will latch onto this kind of stuff and make it probably more of an issue than it needs to be. Not saying that people are unduly concerned, they should be concerned about it, but I think if you're buying this camera for video, you're making a mistake anyways. So if you're buying it for photography, very low chance that you'll have an issue. Maybe if you're trying to shoot sports with it and you're shooting loads of photos, then you'll have an issue, but like 99% of people probably will never even notice the camera getting that hot. Alright, number 5 is another kind of ergonomic issue that I have with the camera. Generally it's great. The AF, the AEL, AFL, AF on button that you use to like, I use this like back button focus, is just a little bit further over than I would like it to be. It's not so bad holding it with 2 hands, but if I'm walking around just like one-handed, it's further over than my thumb would rest. So maybe I should try and map it to this command dial. That might actually, it's maybe actually a much better idea if I can map it to that. But it just seems further over than I would like, and I actually wonder if it's further over to make room for a thumb rest, because the thumb rest would be sort of here, I would have thought. But then you've got access to it there. So again, it's not really a deal breaker. I still really enjoy using this camera. It's just, maybe it's my hand's too small or something. I feel like someone just drove into the driveway. Alright, number 6 is, I think it tends to underexpose just a little bit. So I'd maybe tend to have it about 2/3 of a stop brighter than normal, unless something's like really blowing out, and then I'll bring it back down. But I've found that it looks okay on the screen, and then when I get it onto the computer, I'm like, that's underexposed a little bit too much. So I mean, that's fine. You just sort of get to know your camera. It's just kind of a little bit annoying. I wish it would expose brighter to start with, maybe. That being said, that kind of leads on to point number 7, which I guess is actually just an extension of point number 6. The screen makes the pictures look brighter than they look when I get them on the computer or on my phone. Again, that's not a huge deal, it's just something that I've had to adjust to. But for a little while, I kept looking at the pictures once I got them onto my phone and being like, it looks too dark now, and I thought it was just maybe the way my screen was on my phone, but I've since realised it's the screen on the camera. So that's really not a big deal, but you just have to be aware to take that time to brighten it up in camera or to brighten it up in post-processing. So yes, I kind of wish I hadn't bought this camera. If I was going back and looking at cameras again, I probably would have bought the X100F, because everything that I use this, the way I use this, the X100F does. However, I'm not going to get rid of this camera because I kind of love it. I really like it. I enjoy shooting with it. As I said before, it does make me just a little bit of money back on YouTube, so maybe it will offset the price difference over time. And I bought it used, so I already saved 300 bucks. So that's kind of my justification for keeping this. And unless you are the type of person who shoots things at f2 and up close, I would recommend going with the X100F. And I don't want to badmouth Fuji at all, because they make really good cameras and I like Fuji cameras. And I want them to continue to succeed and make more great cameras. But I need to be honest about it. I don't want to lie to people. The X100F, it was there. It was already there. They're just improving on a fantastic camera anyways, with other technology and stuff. So folks, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, check out my print store down in the description. I've started up my own little print store. Things are going to be on sale for 30% off for probably the next couple months. I will announce it officially in a video. I have some test prints that are on the way, so I'll make a little video talking about my print store then. Yeah, if you're interested, if you like my work, go down there. If you would like to support the channel and you need something to put up on your wall in your apartment, go check it out. Also, if there's any of my pictures that are not in the print store that you think you would like printed, let me know and I will add it to the print store for you. But otherwise, yes, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.